Hello, Horror Fam, best friends, and ghoulish knights, and welcome to the 29th episode of Murders with Mertens. I am your host, Joe, and this is a podcast about horror, body horror, sci-fi horror, the horror adjacent, thrillers, the psychologically terrifying, scary films in general. Each episode, I sit down with a guest and discuss one of their favorite scary films so we can gush about everything that makes it just so damned cool. Viewers, thank you for the support. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you are so inclined. It all helps to get the word out and bring some much needed love to this little podcast. Audio listeners, the show is also available on podcast services around the world like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So don't forget to leave a rating when you stop by. Much love to all the people who followed along while we talked Scream for over a month. It was a ton of fun and had a nice rhythm of recording and publishing going. And then I got COVID for the first time and basically killed the rest of the month of March. But we're back. Enough of all that housekeeping, though. We need to get talking about the spoops, and to that end, I have the privilege of welcoming back to Murders with Mertens for his fourth appearance, gifted Dim 63 himself, Mr. Dimitreus Newell. Dim, how the hell are you?
I'm doing okay, man. Thank you for having me back for the fourth time. Feels great to be back and talking horror again with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I see the hairs continuing to expand.
It is.
And
Yeah.
you always wanted some of this beard. I want some of that head of hair. Maybe we can work out a trade. I
Yeah,
don't
we
know,
should.
man. But yeah, absolutely glad to have you back. It's been too long. It's cool that we're making this happen. I want to get into things as soon as possible here. Tonight's topic is 2023's Infinity Pool, written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg. Oh, is he ever his father's son? This
He
dude is
absolutely is.
awesome. I need to look up antiviral because I haven't seen that in forever. Completely forgot that that was one of his until somewhat recently. I just
I
want,
actually never saw it, but I know that I heard about it, and it's on my list of things I need to get back and see.
yeah, I need to compare it to, Possessor and Infinity Pool now, just to see how he's evolved along the way. I feel like Infinity Pool felt pretty similar in tone and everything to Possessor, but
Yeah,
and
definitely.
just style, but that's cool. That's cool. His dad David definitely has a vibe as well, so and it works for him.
Yeah, definitely.
I know this only released in January, so not a lot of time to have a massive history with the film. But why'd you choose this one, Dim?
So when I saw it earlier this year, it was just I was just blown away. And when I went to the theater to see it, I actually didn't see any trailers or anything about it. I just knew that Brandon had directed it. So I came into it not even knowing what it was about. And man, when when you don't see any trailers or know anything about this movie and you go and see it, it's quite the experience. And we'll
I
get into that as
I,
we
I
as we talk
bet.
more. But
Yeah, I mean the trailer gives away quite a bit of what goes on in the film, but I think it kind of convinces you that it's going to go a little bit different direction than what the film actually does. And yeah, like you said, we'll talk about that a little bit more later on,
right.
especially at a very specific point. But yeah, yeah, let's get into this thing. Um, we begin with opening credits that constantly shift font and color, ending on just one of the coolest title cards for Infinity Pool.
I actually I really enjoy that just those snapshots of colors, and then when it shows the infinity pool design, like it's so fitting because of how weird and disjointed the movie feels, but then you relate it to actually seeing the tile and it's just as weird and disjointed. So
Yeah, yeah. More of that, please. More of that. I love how it feels a little like 60s, 70s as well with a lot of the treatment there.
totally.
Yeah, it's a fun vibe. And then we could just cut to black and we're introduced to James and M. What's the line? You can't feed yourself with white sand brain death.
Yep. I actually wrote that down in my
Yeah.
notes as well. And I keep like every time I see this movie, this is I think what I say the third time. So um I keep trying to pull something out of what they're talking about, and I don't know if it's just random conversations and trying to act like they were in the middle of maybe
Like they were
sleeping and
smart enough
talking
to
or
maybe put some
yeah,
extra meaning in some of it.
I'm trying, but I
Yeah.
can't pull anything. It's just a random sleepy conversation, it seems like.
Yeah, and I feel like there's plenty of parts in this movie where, yeah, there is some deeper meaning to what's being said for sure. But yeah, that could just be like rando talking in your sleep type shit, which is also lovely and creepy as well. But yeah, talking in his sleep. There we go. James and M, they debate getting up and making the breakfast buffet versus staying in bed. But no, she wants to take advantage of that omelet chef. Yep. She's ready to go and rips those curtains open and yeah, they get moving. Um so as they walk to the hotel restaurant, we get some awesome establishing shots and some
I
fun.
love these shots.
Yeah, the twisting camera and everything. Yeah, it's cool. It's also made extra unsettling with the eerie score. This is a great synth soundtrack. You know what it keeps making me think of? I don't know if you've been watching any of the Star Wars cartoons of the past few years, but Bad Batch, the Clone Wars spinoff, and then some of those final Clone Wars episodes they did with Ahsoka Tano. There's some nasty, nasty synth scores in that stuff, and this feels just like it. Love it.
In the theater, the amount of bass that comes from just this opening scene was intense. It's like a thumping sound, and I'll always forget it when I saw it.
So I need to watch this actually on a television with, the bass cranked up on the sound bar and everything to get as close as I can to an experience of that because I have watched this once mostly on a phone, but also on a computer while I felt like I was dying from COVID. And then also, again, on a computer while taking notes. So, yeah, I need to give that a whirl because
I feel like having COVID and watching this movie was probably pretty interesting.
I was out of it for sure. That fever really got me, man. Um, it was not fun. I basically spent a lot of my time sweating through my clothes onto a couch. No big deal. Yeah. So
Yikes.
yeah, I'm much better now.
That's
Uh,
good.
this film was mostly shot in Croatia, and it
Oh,
definitely has that Mediterranean slash tropical but not feel in this fictional country of Latoka. Um,
yeah.
Palm trees are not native to Croatia, but they were imported to give it sort of that southern Mediterranean feel that a lot of Mediterranean countries have. I don't know when they did that in Croatia, but it just looks perfect in this film because you just have no real understanding of where they are. It's it just adds to that unsettling vibe, I think. It's cool.
It's funny too with when I don't know if you've been overseas and been to places where it's kind of almost like a third world, but specifically when I went to Bali, it's very similar to being on like a resort type area, and then on the outside, it's a little less, um, you know, uh, present. Basically, like
Yeah.
it's very much a different world when you leave a resort, and specifically, it's relatable to them in this because they're technically not supposed to leave, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I haven't done all that much traveling, unfortunately. Yeah, but I am aware of those types of situations for sure. It's always talked about, all the resort areas of Mexico. Yeah, you stay on the compound. It's
Yeah,
yeah. Um, but yeah, we'll get into that a little bit because boy, does that feed into the story. We cut to a hotel employee addressing the breakfast crowd about the local festival, the summoning. And don't forget to buy your masks at the gift shop. Those,
X-Masks.
yeah, those are unsettling little masks for
I
sure.
love them.
Oh, they're super cool. I would love to have one on a
Oh,
shelf behind
absolutely.
me.
I was
Um,
thinking the same thing.
Yup. Throw on Steven over here. But yeah, I love the like over the top. like this is super sanitary, version of local culture that they're presenting to the guests at the resort. It just it tells you everything you need to know about this story.
Mhm.
Um, and we get the impossibly tall James sitting down with his wife. And he just asks, "Where are we?" And again, this motherfucker is tall. Alexander
Yeah.
Skarsgård's like nearly 2 meters. He's like 6'4".
Yeah, that dude's big.
Oh my god, yeah. M responds, kind of reminding him that this was his idea, and she almost, kind of mockingly asks him if he's feeling inspired yet.
Mm,
Um, their relationship's just a little bit on edge. You can tell from very early on.
yeah.
Um, she she suggests that they go on a boat tour and maybe book a reservation at the Chinese place in town for dinner. He's not super excited about that. He thinks the town's kind of all for show, just a tourist trap. And he's like, why would they have a Chinese place?
Mhm.
Dude, why does any place have a Chinese place? Because
It's
it's awesome, first of all, but
yeah.
you know, yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
she also talks about wanting to explore the town, and he's just very uninterested in
yeah.
basically anything outside of this resort, it seems.
He doesn't seem to really care much about anything until
Yeah.
he kind of has a bit of an awakening later on. But she excuses herself to head off to the beach. I mean, up till this point, what's your take on their dynamic? I mean,
Uh, you can tell that, they're in some kind of rocky relationship. He's actually trying to get inspiration for what he's working on with his book, and then she's actually probably just trying to have a vacation with her man, and it's kind of clashing with each other.
yeah, they almost seem like a couple that don't always get to spend such close proximity to each other, and when they do, they kind of realize maybe they don't actually care for each other as much as they once thought they did, or
Mhm.
something along those vibes. I mean, it's very clear there's stuff that's off in this relationship, and
Yeah, I mean, they definitely get tested.
oh god, yeah. So then he heads down to the beach a little bit later after he finishes his breakfast, and he finds a local doing donuts on an ATV to harass the tourists. And as everybody kind of reacts to what's going on, he holds his hands up to his face and lets out this little gasp as the
Mhm.
guy on the ATV runs over something. And it's so like weak and pathetic sounding, but that's
Yep.
also kind of the point. Um, and he sort of wonders aloud what's going on. And this is where we're introduced to Gabby, who tells him that the Latolkans, they're making a statement. And when he asks, well, what kind of a statement? She's like, they would like to run a long knife through your throat. This is where she touches him right in the throat.
Yep.
She's very handsy. And later,
Very much.
oh yes, and later they're going to hang his body at the airport to scare off the other tourists. He thinks that's a little extreme, and then she counters with the fact that, or at least her opinion, that the Latolkans are a melodramatic people. But the way she says it, um,
I have a question for you
yeah,
regarding this scene specifically, and I didn't think about it until this viewing, but do you think that it's really a local?
hmm,
At first, I did because you don't really think about it too much, but now, after seeing it 3 times and knowing
does have a
what these
mask
people
up
are
over his
going through,
face. Yeah,
could be people like Albin out
mm-hmm.
there causing a ruckus, and
That
it
is a
it
good
wouldn't surprise me.
point. That is a good point. Um, Yeah. Yeah, just because these people, well, they kind of get up to no good. So yeah, yeah, you could be right.
Yeah.
My comment about the way that she says this thing about Tolkien's being melodramatic. She says the Tolkien's are melodramatic people instead of say Tolkien's are melodramatic people.
Oh.
The way she says that just very much is somebody it's like, I am very much just going to completely other this other culture. And it's
But
just
it's
the way
almost
that it
like she
hit
does it
me.
with experience. Like,
Yeah.
she knows that they are a specific way, and she's saying it because she knows exactly what happened.
Oh, sure, sure. It's just the way she phrases it that just
Mhm.
continues to drive home the idea that, oh, she's such a little shit. And
Man.
yeah. But yes, it's something I definitely picked up on this time around. Um, and again, we know almost everything we need to know about Gabby just from this one scene. And
Yeah,
it gets
definitely.
worse, but yeah, we know. Um, so from there, she, shyly comments that she loved his book, thereby confessing that, she knows exactly who he is. He's a little
Yeah.
shocked because, he admits that his book wasn't very successful. And then they sort of awkwardly introduce themselves to each other. Um, it's kind of dopey. She calls her husband Albin over and introduces him. Yeah, they invite him to go with them to the Chinese place in town.
Oh, snap. We're going to
Yeah,
the
yeah, we're
Chinese
going to the
restaurant.
Chinese place after all, Yang's. And is their waiter the same guy from the hotel breakfast?
Oh.
I could swear that he is. He
Oh,
just
man, I didn't
happens to
even
have
think
the
about that,
wig and
but
the
you
hat
could be
on.
right.
It's his second job. Um, it wouldn't shock me if he is. I need to look back at this thing a little bit more carefully, maybe check the credits, but
You could
um,
be right, though, because if because there are 2 people that are related that we find out later.
yep, yep, and
So maybe it's like a family owned, or a bunch of people are kind of family and they run this business together. Could
yeah,
be.
and it's just, also reinforcing, hey, it's a poor country. There's probably a
Yeah.
lot of people that
Small.
have more than one job.
Yeah.
And there's just something about the tone of voice and just the inflection as he's speaking that makes me think it's the same guy. But
Oh, totally.
I don't know. I need to just rewind things and check that out. Um, and then I can absolutely picture the conversation with James and M before dinner. Oh, so you don't want to get Chinese on vacation when I suggest it, but it's okay when your new groupies ask you out, right?
Yep.
Right? They absolutely had that conversation before they went out for the evening. So they make small talk about what they do for a living, and when they get to Gabby, she tells them that she's an actress in commercials who fails naturally, and each act of failure is a mental and physical puzzle. She's
Don't forget, we have to know that Albin does architecture.
Oh, that's also true because that comes back into play in a big way later on.
Sure does.
Yep. Yeah, basically though, Gabby is the living embodiment of those compilation videos of infomercials that you see online of the people failing at every task, and they
Mhm.
they need the product that's being sold because
Bun
only
chop.
yep, exactly. Only that can save them. Yeah, yeah, James, you need a bun chop, don't you?
He's like,
I sure do.
"Yeah."
Oh God. But yeah. Then immediately Gabby just calls out James for not writing anything in the past 6 years.
His number 1 fan is really wanting this next book for whatever reason.
Yup. Yeah. It's and in retrospect of how things, go later on in the film, um, yeah, it all makes sense. This is just where it starts.
Yeah, it's
Um,
so hard to talk about just the first part of this movie because it all kinda interconnects.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. I don't know why you're watching or listening to this if you haven't seen the film before,
Oh, yeah.
but James has
Yeah, sure.
clearly been targeted by these people.
For
And
sure.
yeah, this is where they just start the little needling and picking apart.
Grooming.
Yes, yes. So it's discovered then that James married Rich and M's been supporting him while he tries to put something new together. And it's also super clear that it's a major bone of contention in their relationship. Um, yeah. Then we just cut to slow-mo shots of Gabby and James dancing at a nightclub while Alvin looks on and M clearly wants to leave. Uh, but
They have the most intimate, like, facial expressions during this dance,
oh
and
yeah,
I
they're eye fucking
absolutely
each
love
other.
it.
Yeah.
I freaking love this whole thing. It's like the shot of the beginning when they're like walking to the
Mm-hmm.
breakfast. It's the slow motion shot. There's these colorful lights happening. You
Pulsing
get this
music,
like
yeah.
euphoric
Yep.
sensation from just this one scene.
Yeah, I love Brandon Cronenberg. Let's see. We cut to the next day, and James and Em, they're walking across the hotel grounds to meet up with Gabby and Albin. They're going on a day trip outside the hotel grounds. Em's nervous about it as there's a high crime rate in the country, and they've been cautioned not to go anywhere or leave. And James just reassures her, but she counters that he's just happy because he's found his fan club. And
Yep.
I like his little comment back to her about, hey, they had to be somewhere. They're just here in
He loves
Latoka.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got to feel a little pretentious right now because I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
this is the one time he has a fan that he probably never experienced.
Yep, exactly. And they take off in this old Cadillac convertible. And as they're
It has to be known
oh
that
yeah,
this dude's name is Mr. Thresh that
right.
loans them this car.
Yep, they're renting it from him. Yes. It's because that name will come back again and again.
And he's the owner, right, of the resort.
I don't know that he's the owner of the resort. I think he was the
Was he
guy
just
that was helping them load up the vehicle, actually.
Oh, okay.
I think he
It's a
just
nice
happens to
car.
work there. Yeah, it's a cool old caddy for sure. Um, and yeah, they just take off. I can't believe I mean, they must have had to bribe the guards because the way things looked, they almost didn't let them back in later on in the film.
Right, and just looking at the gate is barbed wire, like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
very compound heavy, like, you can
Yeah.
tell that they're not supposed to be doing this at all.
Yep.
Very militaristic.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, so they bug out and they're driving along the winding coastline. And
Beautiful.
it's gorgeous. But as they drive along, you get that unsettling synth score, and they pass native Latolkans behind more barbed wire, looking like they're living in pretty rough conditions along the side of the road there.
Mhm.
And then we find a little cove to go sunbathe and drink and picnic. And they cut to James and Gabby just kind of staring at each other again with the eye fucking. And
While he's cooking sausages over there,
yeah,
Alvin's just out there,
Alvin's
like, grilling it up.
cooking up some sausages and they look good. And there's a little bit of joking about fattening up James to cook him for the main course. And, they kind of bust his chops a little bit about his wife, Em, being able to eat his balls. And, she's like, who's to say I haven't done so already? And ha ha ha.
It's almost like a little like a nod to Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
Trying to fatten them up.
Yep. And oh, are they ever? So
This is just a beginning.
Oh yes. So it's Albin asks Em why she married James if he had no money, and she reveals basically that she did it to spite her father. Yep, because he's a monster. She hates the bastard, and he always warned her never to marry a writer. So she made sure to do that with the very
Just
first
that.
one that spilled coffee on her.
Because he
She
spilled
says,
coffee. Yep.
Yeah.
Spilled coffee right on her.
Yep.
Dang it.
Yeah.
James.
God damn it, James. So James gets up and goes off to pee, and Gabby just walks up behind him and gives him a handy out of nowhere.
The longest handy with the like, we didn't have to see what comes out.
No,
okay?
But it wouldn't be a Cronenberg movie of any sort if we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the pee and the aftermath of this situation.
We did. And he seems totally shocked as she walks away, but he sure didn't protest while it was happening.
No, he loved it.
No, he was having a time. So yeah, they decide to drive back to the hotel there in the dark, and good thing it's dark because of the look on James' face. He's
James
driving.
is the driver. Like,
Yes.
why was he the driver?
Well, because Alden already said that he was so drunk.
Yeah.
And so James is like, you know what? I'm good to go. Um,
No, he didn't even look good to go.
he looked more unsettled than anything. He was like super guilty looking. It's again,
Oh,
good thing it's dark. Good thing
this
it's
dude was
dark.
nervous.
Yep. And honestly, though, as he's driving, he was doing pretty good. It's just that the headlights start to fail on the vehicle,
Yep.
which is, not great. And of course, instead of just stopping when they go completely out, he looks down and fumbles around with the controls, and they light
There's
up.
no lights on these cliffs. There's no
No,
lights on the highway. You could see that when they were coming in the daytime. There's no lamps
and it's
anywhere.
very much a winding coastal highway. They could have gone through a barricade and off the side
Oh
easily.
yeah, easy.
But instead, no, he fumbles around looking down at the controls and then gets a little bit of light just in time to see this dude that he just mows down.
Dude,
Uh,
that guy had no chance.
nope, nope, and crunches the windshield and everything else. That dude was toast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody freaks out like you do. And James and Em, they want to call the police, and Gabby pretty well takes charge here, telling them, nope, nope, nope. They're just gonna go back to the hotel, and you guys are going to bed because you do not want to be dealing with the police in this country.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What she says, like, you'll get raped by the police and thrown in a ditch.
Yep. Yep.
I'm like,
It's
Jesus.
Yeah, and they're, definitely playing off of the fears that people have about going to these resort areas in,
Mhm.
these different high crime countries around the world. They're
Yep.
definitely hamming that viewpoint up quite a bit here. Um, yeah, so they do as she says. They kind of ditch the car somewhere and walk back to the gate because they don't want anybody to see the blood smeared all over the front of that cream
Mhm.
colored caddy, probably. Um, but yeah, they wave their key cards around, and eventually the guards let them in. And
They didn't want to though.
nope, nope. They're like, why are you outside? How
Like,
did you get
how did you
outside?
get there?
Yeah, they clearly had to bribe some people to get outside earlier in the movie because there's just no way. Um,
I have to believe that the bribe probably wasn't very expensive because of the third world country aspect of the resort. They probably only had to give him a couple dollars or, the equivalent of a couple dollars in American USD.
I don't know, man, but wow, the night shift is definitely a little bit more strict for sure.
Mm.
Um, they're eventually let back in, and as they're walking along the pathway there, James vomits, like you do after you kill somebody.
And
And
you've been drinking all day.
yep, yep, and just sitting in the sun and everything else. Yeah, he's had a rough one for sure.
Mhm.
And then we get shots of the hotel grounds at dawn with the sound of a helicopter in the background. And James awakens to pounding at his hotel room door.
Oh, who could that
Yeah,
be?
exactly. With the sound and cadence of that pounding on the door, you know exactly who it is.
Yep.
Um, he finally fumbles his way out of bed and gets to the door, and it's the 50. Yeah, and they immediately take him and Em away. They're freaking out in the back of a police car, and we get some more of those nasty, nasty synths as you see all sorts of. I don't know if it's some kind of,
Underdeveloped,
yeah. Is it supposed to be some type of a gas pipeline or something like that? Uh,
industrial something or
Yeah,
other.
and a lot
Yeah.
of like, brutalist architecture like you see in a lot of former Soviet states and just yeah, it's this is Latolka.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely horrific outside of this, resort, but I
Yeah.
don't it's almost like it's not it's not intentionally horrific, it's just the way it is there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's little bits of beauty in the landscape and everything else, but yeah, when you get down to how some of the folks are living there and some of the nasty shit that's probably left behind from a former regime or something,
Mhm.
it's not great.
Yeah, and James asks where they're going. That dude just says nothing.
Nope. And um, yup. Um, yup. It's kind of everything that you would expect from this situation. It's it's terrifying. It's the
Yeah,
way that she's clutching his hand uh, and tearing up there in the back seat, and again, just the way that he asks where they're going. Again, it's the
very,
weakest
very
little stare.
cowery, but just very like
Yeah.
scared. And he's always seemed like this from the beginning.
Yep. And that's, again, um, just again feeding into the whole point of who James is as a character at this point of the film.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, cut to the inside where all of a sudden they're separated and he's taken upstairs and they just throw this hospital gown at him.
Now I have
And
to wonder, this building, they don't specifically say that it's a police station. It just looks like some random government building. And
yeah,
I keep looking for details to see if it is or isn't, but I always like when I wrote these notes, I was like, it's just some government building. It doesn't necessarily look like that's where people
yeah,
go if they're
it's
going to the police.
probably the main cloning facility, and anybody who's in any way like an international guest, who's probably going to pay for the procedure that they do in this film, this is just where they take them automatically.
Yeah.
Yep, it's they do a nice little trade in this doubling thing, which we're about to get into here, because finally, somebody comes into the room after
Mhm.
James changes into the ground and into the gown rather, and we're introduced to Thresh, nephew of
Oh,
the gentleman
interesting.
that they rented the
Hmm.
car from the day before, or day or two at this point. He enters the room to speak with him. He asks James to lie about renting his uncle's car in order to keep the older gentleman out of trouble. It's not going to help James, but he'd appreciate it if he would do it.
That's funny because James was like, "It was so was that gonna do anything for me or
No,
what?" And he's like, "No, it's just a courtesy."
yeah, I'd really appreciate it.
What?
It's and of course James is weak a character as he is in the early
Mhm,
stages of this film. He acquiesces just instantly. He's like, okay,
mhm.
just because he knows he's in trouble here, he's in some serious shit.
Yeah.
Um, and this is where Thresh explains the federal law, where the victim's eldest son now has to kill James in order to preserve his family's honor. But there's also the revised process of Doubles Act for international visitors and diplomats.
Oh, oh.
James is
James was
like,
like, "What are you
what?
talking about?"
There's the what as as tears and snots falling out of his face. He's like, what?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
hits him with the "Just sign this."
Yeah. It's the revised process of Doubles Act for international visitors and diplomats. Um, so for a large fee, the state will clone you so your clone can stand in for the execution. Turns out the clone will have all of your memories and it will be able to feel the necessary guilt at the time of execution. Okay.
I wonder how much it would be, though.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
They never specifically say.
Yeah, we have no real understanding of what the exchange rate is here in
Right,
Latonka.
yeah, exactly.
Just other than the idea that this is a developing nation, we know your American dollar is likely going to go further here. This, it's like
Mhm.
you said, it's like going to Bali. Bali is you can stretch your money pretty far there.
Yep.
Other than the airfare. Um, but yeah, so he just, like you said, pushes documents in front of James, sign here. Or we could just go right to the execution.
Yeah, yeah, he's like, "Hey, would you rather, get killed or what?"
Yeah. So he hurriedly signs the contract on this one, and the detective leaves him, and he's just like sobbing in disbelief. Um,
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the next scene, he's being taken to an ATM.
Yep. It's in the middle of their government building.
Yep. It even says ATM.
Yeah, let them know
It's,
for sure.
yep. And he withdraws the necessary money for the procedure. He just hands it over to the guard.
Mm,
Here's the cash. Um, and then he's taken to be measured, poked and prodded, and then placed in this oddly tiled cubicle, where okay. He's kind of bathed in goo while electricity
yeah,
crackles and lights strobe, and you see these haunting images of Gabby. Um,
naked,
yep, yep, very naked.
straight up,
Yep,
all the way.
yep. And thank you, Mia Goth.
Mm, this
And
ain't the first time.
no, it's really not.
Mm,
But yeah. Then he slowly wakes up to M, asking him if he's all right. Nothing like having fantasies about this woman you just met and then being woken up by your wife. Um,
yeah,
yep,
definitely odd.
good times. Um, and he's got a massive headache, but otherwise seems to be okay. And she, lets him know that the double's ready to go.
Mhm.
She's kind of so they have to go downstairs and go look at it with Thresh overseeing, and she's horrified by the scenario, but James is clearly fascinated. He's like
Definitely.
leaning in for a closer look even, and I think that's where the double kind of gasps itself as wake and gives them a little jump scare. um
I
yeah.
like that they used like a red neon for this room that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gives that emotion, like it's like very eerie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much. Yeah. Yeah. Also, just this is all so super dangerous and not a good thing. Yeah.
Not ethical at all.
Nope. Nope. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and now, after all that horror, they have to go witness the execution.
Non-negotiable.
Yep, exactly. Where they find his double tied to a stake in the middle of a large open room, and he's got this hospital gown with this big opening right for his abdomen. It's
Yeah.
here's your target because, of course, the eldest son of this dude is a 13-year-old kid, and he's just given a lawn knife and allowed to walk up, and the double is just pleading for its life, calling out to
Mm,
M.
yeah.
And then this kid proceeds to stab him about 25 times.
Yeah. Yeah, at first you're like, "Oh, just a couple times, that's cool,"
Nope,
and then he just keeps
he's getting
going.
into it. Yep,
Just the
he's
blood is just flowing like
stab,
water.
stab, stab. Yep, it's and that kid's hand is just soaked in blood in the way that someone else's hand is soaked in blood later on.
Mm.
Yeah. M is horrified by what she's witnessing. And again, James is just intrigued.
Well, James looks like he's in terror in the like at first, but then he does that like light smile at the very last second.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
It goes from horror to enjoyment. It's like,
yeah.
this is interesting.
And then we cut to Thresh handing James an urn with the cremated ashes of his double and sending them on their way back to the hotel with you.
I love that,
It's
the little
cool.
souvenir.
It's all good. Yeah, consider it a souvenir, he says.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What'd you do on your vacation? I accidentally killed a guy, had myself doubled so the guy's son could kill my double, and I was given this complimentary urn.
Well, when you say it like that, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
shit.
know. It sounds a little weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's very weird.
Um, yeah. M wants to leave immediately,
Quickly.
naturally, like you
Mhm.
do, but James says he can't find his passport.
Yeah,
And
where the hell is that at?
in the least believable way, I can't find my
Mhm.
passport. And she's understandably upset, kind of yelling at him a bit. And then cut to them just laying in bed,
Oh
and
man.
ooh, this is
Their faces.
tense. And yeah, you're right about their faces, because I think we've all been there after a little fight, and when you're
Mm.
not really wanting to talk with each other. He tells her that she should go without him, and he'll follow behind as soon as he can. But she doesn't respond to that. No,
Nope.
she responds with how disgusted she is that he could just sit there and watch it happen like a
Like a robot.
robot. She says, what's
Hmm.
wrong with you? She says, um, which he ignores then and just says he's going to go down to the front desk to see if they can help him with his passport situation.
Yeah, because anywhere could really do that for you. You'd have to go to the embassy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Instead of talking to the concierge about dealing with his passport situation, he extends his stay on his wife's credit card.
Mm.
Classy move, right?
This dude is just killing me with these, because he probably used her ATM account information when he when he
Yeah, when
bought
he got
his
his
life
cash
back.
out. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Meanwhile, Gabby's looking on from the lobby, and after he gets his stay extended, he walks off, and she flags him down because she's worried about him skipping town.
Mm.
But no, he's going to be around a while, and she convinces him to have a drink with her and talk.
At the villa.
Yeah. And she explains how Albin and her first came to the country when his company was constructing a pool at a resort a little up the road to the north. And there was a construction accident that caused the death of a couple of local workers, and they paid for their own doubles, and the rest is history.
Yep.
Yeah, she can tell that the experience changed him in the same way that it changed them, and she wants him to come and meet a few other guests who've been through the experience as well. And
The privileged bunch.
yeah. And this is where Albin introduces James to the crew. We get I can't even remember their names, but we got the lady from The Handmaid's Tale, who plays the one Martha. She's kind of horrible in this.
Yeah.
She plays an awful person well. So there's also Dr. Bob, who's writing a paper on the Latokan doubling tradition, and he asks James a specific question. Does he worry that they got the right man? And this is what I thought the film was going to be about, like, for the whole film from the trailer. And they kind of lean into that a little bit more heavily, I think, in the trailer. And it is to a little extent, but it's much worse than that.
It goes places, that's for sure.
So eventually James hits the bathroom to splash some water on his face, and he gets a call from M, which he ignores because he's an asshole. Gabby, Gabby approaches him, describing, what he's going through is a new skin working itself into place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds gross. The group tells James they're going to have a little fun and steal from the owner of the other resort, the one that Albin was working on their infinity pool. And
they let's talk about how they're just shooting up vases. They're just with a gun, just bang bang in the living room. We're just shooting vases.
Hope you're not in the villa on the other side of that wall. Yeah, that's not good. But these people are clearly just, at this point, they know they're above it all. They've got an out. They can do whatever they want, right? They can, like live as gods or whatever. Um, and yeah, so they're gonna go steal some shit from this resort owner that basically had Albin and Gabby executed.
Yeah, but
Because
they're gonna make a stop by that gift shop real quick.
oh yes, they are. They are all super clearly drunk. They use a fire extinguisher to break into the shop, and they steal a bunch of those ceremonial masks so they can look just extra creepy as they're driving around in the dark.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep,
a
it
like a
worked.
band of misfits.
Oh, something like that. So James, I don't know what he's trying to do to get through this door. He's just kind of pawing at it, but eventually this lady opens it up and they just bum rush her. Um, and yeah, they kind of race through the house and they find the hotel owner and his mistress or wife or whatever up in the bedroom, getting a
The
little,
movie is just some random lady.
yeah. Um, and they just chase them out into the living room and tie them up.
Yeah, the lady
And
doesn't put on clothes. Like
nope,
she's just middle of having intercourse, and they
he
just
throws
take her
on a
to sleep.
jacket.
And he doesn't. Oh, he does put the jacket. Wait,
No
his
pants.
bottoms are not there.
He's Donald ducking it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so they kind of tie them up in front of the fireplace and they're fucking with them. And Gabby's trying to convince James to shoot the guy, asking him if he's ever fired a gun or whatnot. And she takes the gun from him and she says to Albin that they're just playing a game of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Albin finds more booze. He just keeps showing up with booze in this movie. Yeah. And he's got a cigar for James as well. And it's at this point where there's a fourth person in this house who kind of peeks out from around the shadows and he rushes them, firing at them. And Gabby starts shooting back and it's fucking chaos. Alvin gets shot in the leg. The mistress,
They hit that naked chick.
Yep. She gets shot right through the chest. Yeah, it's chaos. And Mia Goth screaming while filing the gun is fan-fucking-tastic. Yeah, that's the trailer shot right there. Yeah.
He's definitely unhinged in this movie, and I
Oh,
love it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't wait for Maxine. We got that at some point this year, right?
I thought, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to know a little bit more because I haven't heard anything since the end of Pearl. But yeah, looking forward to that. They help Albin back to the hotel, and for some reason, they take him to James and M's room, just so that they can freak her the fuck out.
So weird.
It's very weird, especially because James is still wearing the stupid mask.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I guess he just maybe he's ashamed.
I don't know. I think he's just at this point just so fucking out of it. He doesn't even know he's got it on. But cut to the crew in a cell, all in the hospital gowns, just kind of joking around about their situation. And this is where what's her butt from The Handmaid's Tale is like getting in a little extra shitty about everything, especially to the guards. And yeah, Thresh comes in to say that they've tested the limits of this country's patience and that maybe time to make a statement.
Oh yeah.
They just heard them all off and they're like all freaking out. It's like, hey, we'll pay. It's we got a process, right? We got a good thing going, yeah. They're herded out to the killing floor where they're yeah, they've got like these blocks to tie them to for their execution. And they're tying them up, and James breaks free and he grabs one of those big long knives, and they manage to subdue him and they just slit his throat and he falls out. and Gabby's like calling out to him and everything. And this is where the camera just pans up into the stands, and it's revealed that these were all actually the doubles of the original crew as they
Yeah,
applaud the spectacle. And you get,
yeah.
Albin with his "Well done, James," and I don't know if that was James' idea that they do that, just get all the doubles together to think that they were the real ones, or it's
I
fucked.
feel like maybe Thresh knew that when he said it was a statement, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. I don't know. It was pretty fucked up though.
Yeah.
And yeah, then the rest of the clones are just slaughtered, and James returns to the hotel room with another urn.
Yep. Turn number two.
And
They're
M's
big, too. They're not
oh yeah.
small.
Yeah. M's all packed up and she's ready to go. And she reveals that she knows that or that James paid for another week on her dime.
Yep.
She is not pleased. He tells
Not at all.
her to run back to daddy. And
Mm.
yeah. And as she walks out, he gives this weak little wait. But no, she's gone. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah, he's not, he was not in any hurry to go
Mhm.
with her. So,
Yeah, it was very much an under his breath. Wait, don't go.
oh, stop. Please.
So Gabby approaches him as he enjoys the sunset and a cigar. I love how he's smoking the cigar through the ceremonial mask there.
Mm.
He tells her that Am left, and Gabby thinks this is for the best because now he can kind of reach his true potential, because it's women like that that are gonna keep you subdued and in your place, and you're
Yeah,
never gonna be.
manipulated.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Okay.
says that she didn't feel like M was right for him anyway. So.
Right. Right.
Mm, mm.
And I love there's as they're walking back to her room, they have these reverse shots of the rain. It's going
Oh yeah.
up onto all the little umbrellas.
Hell yeah.
It's cool. And yeah, time to do drugs and have hallucinatory sex, just like in Possessor. And
Yeah.
apparently, it's say again.
Yeah, I say yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. They just end up doing this drug that's just localized to this area that you never see in your whole life. But
Yep.
it's some root that's just
It's ceremonial because the Latolkans, they're very anti-drug. It's heavy criminal penalties. I'm sure it's the same doubling death shit. But ultimately, she bought it off of a guard from the hotel.
Yep.
Yeah. And apparently, no, it's not just them. It's a full-blown orgy. Um,
And it's a long scene.
it is.
And fun fact, I guess this movie was supposed to be NC-17, and when it
Yeah.
was shown at Sundance, they actually saw the NC-17 version, but it's never been released outside of that, from what I understand.
Yeah, they had to
So
cut it down a little bit for the R rating. I read about that
yeah,
too.
Neon wasn't playing.
Yeah. So yeah, full-blown orgy, complete with like faces becoming the Litolkin masks and strange
yeah.
secretions.
It was also multiple guys on guys, girls on girls, girls on guys. Like it was just it went everywhere.
Yep. It's yep. They're yeah. Cut to breakfast the next day. And James is super drunk and harassing the other guests, just spitting cherries at them.
I mean, he's got to be still coming down from that drug too. I'm sure it's not a slow come down. I'm sure he was
Probably not. But yeah, he's being kind of a dick, but they keep egging him on and, keeping him going here. And this is where they
like a dog.
Yeah. This is where they goad him into going after Thresh. The plans to kidnap him while he's having a medical procedure done, and then they're just going to work him over.
Get his passport. That's what they tell him.
Yeah, because they figure, he's got to be the one who's got it or whatever. So they have him stand a guard outside the facility while they go in and then they grab him. And he's still super out of it and nearly gets run down by a police van.
Yep. It just drives off, though.
Yep. That's
doesn't
weird.
come back.
Yeah, they make a comment about how the people that they paid off to find out where Thresh would be were the cops, and they probably weren't in any big hurry to be there and see it all happen. So yeah, they wheel out Thresh on a gurney. He's got an IV and everything. They load him up into a van and they head back home. And back at the hotel, James does more drugs and pours booze over the shrouded detective, and he psychs himself up and starts hitting the man in the head and pisses on him.
Yep.
And everybody else pisses on him. A lot of peeing in this movie. You're right.
Pee in that, yeah.
Yeah.
We love pee, I guess.
I guess. So yeah, and this is where Gabby decides to remove the shroud to reveal it's actually just another double of James.
Yep.
Yeah, and the real James
starts freaking out.
Yep, big time freak out, and he just kind of stumbles off, disgusted with the situation, and locks himself in his hotel room and finds the crew standing below his windows serenading him. And Gabby annoying him from outside the door.
Mm-hmm.
She
that weird song that they're singing outside is super eerie.
Oh, it is. Yeah, and they got that blue light on them, and they're all in their masks. Yeah, it's spooky. And Gabby, this is kind of, I think this is the point of the movie where she starts to vacillate between being like extra annoying and obnoxious and creepy as fuck. And sometimes both at the same time. But she offers to get the double and they can both have their way with her. Has he ever done that before? Would he be interested in that? And this is where it's revealed that, yes, he had hidden his passport the entire time.
Under the sink.
Under the sink. Yep. And he grabs that and then just cut to the next day. He probably had a long night of them like being assholes from outside his room. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't just break the door down to fuck with him.
Yep.
But
I think they're, it seems like they're just teasing him anyway. So it's not like they're in any hurry to, make him feel any type of way.
Yeah, it's a slow play for sure.
Yeah. They want him there for their whole vacation, basically.
Yeah. Because they're there till the rainy season. So cut to the next morning, and he's got his club master's back on and his hat, and he's like, trying
out of here.
Yeah, he's ready to get on that shuttle bus to the airport. He's just riding along in the bus, and next thing you know, you hear some horns honking, and they basically run them off the road, shooting at the bus.
2 cars.
Yeah, and a lot of convertibles in this country.
Yep. All the rich people have convertibles. That's all.
They're all old, fairly well maintained convertibles. Yes. Yeah. They run him off the road, and it's like, attention, people of the bus. Well, what did she call him? A whiny little sucky baby, something like that.
You nailed it.
Yeah. And send him out or we come in shooting. Yeah.
Taunting. Well, she goes taunting him the whole time, and they're out there laughing, having a good time. This is normal for them. You got to believe that they vacation here all the time. So yeah, this is another pond for them.
Yep. And this is where they force him to walk in front of their car while Gabby rides on the hood, drinking wine and eating fried chicken, berating him the whole way. I love the bucket sitting there. It's clear as day what it is.
Yep.
It's so good.
I love it too.
And then she admits she never read his book, needling him until she finally pulls out this review that's just absolute scathing review. Yep. And this is where she loses her bottle of wine and gets distracted, and he finally gets his moment where he snaps and attacks her, tries to wrestle the gun away. She's laughing about the situation the whole time. She doesn't give a fuck. She's also drunk as hell at this point. But in the struggle, he runs off into the woods and Gabby fires after him, hitting him in the leg. And yeah, he just kind of carries on, weeping and stumbling until he finds himself at a farmhouse, and a family, I guess, takes him in and cares for his wound. And then he starts dreaming.
His dreams or something, aren't they?
Oh yeah. He dreams it's the family of the man that James ran over, and as the eldest son starts to strangle him, he rips off the kid's face to reveal M, mocking him as the dream gets more nuts and hallucinatory. It's great.
Oh yeah, loved it.
Yeah, a lot of the flashes throughout this, similar to the orgy and similar to the whole cloning process as well. Yeah, it's cool. He wakes up then, calls out for the family. Nobody responds. He steps outside, continuing to call out, hello. It's, when you're trying to hide from some people,
you don't want to call out.
No. And that's when all
I want to go ahead and go.
Yeah. Just sneak off through the dark. But that's where the headlights of the two cars flip on, and yep, the crew found him. And Gabby told, yeah, I'm curious. They probably just
know that he's in there.
Yeah, they probably just followed the blood trail. And then, somebody, could clearly tell that he was at this house, and they probably just, called everybody else to bring the cars around.
Mm-hmm.
But, Gabby tells him that they're going to fix him. And this is where they bring out this beast-like double of James. I think he's the one that they were beaten on, in the hotel room. Yeah. They never finished him off. Right. And they give the double the Tolkien drug, and then they hand James one of those long knives and basically tell him to kill the dog. Yeah, sorry, Pike. I see you walking around back there. It's we're just talking about Alexander Skarsgård, not real dogs. He drops the knife, and Gabby's telling him to pick it up and do it, and he just throws it off to the side, telling the dog to fetch. But this is the moment where his double just attacks him instead, and they're rolling around on the ground fighting, and the double bites him in the arm, and eventually James gets the upper hand and just beats this dude's face in.
Yeah, mutilates him.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about, where when he finishes and gets back up, his hand is just absolutely coated in blood, like the kid who killed his double. And then Gabby cradles him as he sobs and then gives him a little suckle. It's so weird. It's the breastfeeding moment. It kind of goes back a little bit to the orgy.
Oh man,
because in the orgy it's like a Play-Doh fun factory. It's yeah.
I wonder what the artistic choice was. Are they trying to imply that like she is now the surrogate mother for him in this situation?
I don't know. Maybe just that he had, just completely broken at that point, and he
Well, I
needed
mean,
something of a motherly love, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, I mean
Um,
that's the implication because people aren't just out there sucking nips like that. So
well, it
and he
certainly
was in
wasn't in
there.
a
He was
romantic
on
or
there.
sexy way either. So,
Imagine having to film that a couple times.
yeah, there were probably multiple takes.
Mia Goth's like, all right,
Here we go
here's one
again.
for you.
Yep, yep. Um, so it's the next day, and James is speaking to Em over the phone, telling her how sorry he is as he packs his 3 urns in his suitcase.
Yep.
Um, and how he'll be back at such and such time. And he loves her and blah blah blah.
Mm.
Because we know that's bullshit. And as the crew rides to the airport on the shuttle bus, they're all making inane small talk as James kind of just stares straight ahead in silence, and they don't really talk to him either. They're just chatting about what they're going to do when they get back and remodeling projects and work bullshit. And
I love their conversations too because it's like the most mundane stuff.
Mhm.
Like when they get back, they just become normal people.
Yep, yep, yep. Just boring ass normal lives.
And then James just killed himself 3 times.
He ain't never coming back.
Yeah.
So, and then at the airport, Gabby and Albin say their goodbyes with James, and it's again the most mundane, basic ass goodbye. And he just kind of stands there as all this background noise of the crowd just swells around him and then snaps off. And here he is sitting in an empty airport because he never got on that plane. If you look at the ticket that he had, apparently this takes place in 2018.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't notice that.
And then just cut back to the hotel as the rain is now falling in earnest. And James sits in a lone beach chair, getting soaked and staring out to sea.
Yeah.
And
So I wonder,
credits.
I wonder what he'd be thinking at that point. Like, why would he tell him he was coming home, go all the way to the airport, and then just not go?
I don't know if
He doesn't have any money. Like, what is he gonna do?
I have a feeling she would shut that shit down at some point.
Mhm.
Yeah, unless it's a joint account. I don't know, but
I have to imagine if he used her account to do the ATM when he was getting killed the first time, maybe they do have a joint account that he has the access to, but I'm sure she would freeze that if he doesn't come home.
I don't know. It's fucked. And he just kind of seems lost in his thoughts. Maybe he is thinking about, did they kill the right one? I don't know. And that's what we're meant to ponder, right?
Well, do you think that he is one of the doubles?
No, I don't. But
I don't think so either.
I think we're meant to ponder that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think he's just kind of sitting there thinking about, his life in general and, the direction that things have gone and how fucked the past week has been.
He has no idea what's happening anymore.
Yeah.
I killed myself 3 times. I just basically cheated on my ex with a huge orgy of random people.
He's thinking about ways to get more of that root drug.
Yep. He got shot.
Yeah.
In the leg.
So did Albin. They have matching wounds.
Yeah. Maybe he's waiting for them to come back, but then I'm guessing they don't come back for a year, so
yeah, maybe he's got to get a job. Shit. And he's in a foreign country. That's gonna be hard.
He just ends up being one of the waiters or something at the resort.
Well, I think the resort basically shuts down at this point too. So I don't know what he's really gonna do with himself.
Interesting.
Yeah. I would think at some point he's got to do something, unless his plan is to just find a hole, crawl into it, and die. I don't know.
I think that I really enjoyed this movie, and critically, it looked like it did very well. But I noticed a lot of the user scores were very low for this film,
Huh.
and I don't know why because I didn't read any of them. But if you go and look at all the user scores for this movie, they're
Yeah.
not anywhere near what it got critically.
That's weird. This seems like the type of movie where why would you go to see it if you didn't even have the barest inkling about what you
Right.
were getting into?
Yeah. Or at least know the director like I did. I was just like,
Yeah.
I know his style. I knew Possessor before. So I was like, well, I'm in for some kind of ride, that's for sure.
Yeah, even if you didn't know it was specifically Brandon Cronenberg and you just heard Cronenberg, I mean, it's a name that's been around since the early 70s.
hmm
It's got a certain cachet to it as far as what you're getting into, right?
I mean, I did read that this movie fared like way better than Crimes of the Future did, which
Yeah.
is I didn't really like Crimes of the Future at all, so I can understand that, but
Yeah.
like I mean, they're both very similar in a way.
I have to see that still.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, I understand a lot of people didn't really care for it too well, but I would like to give it a whirl at least.
Yeah. I caught it on HBO when it came out.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah.
look that up.
It'll be on there.
But yeah, that's weird about, maybe it's just being review bombed for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know. But I mean, as soon as it was available to buy, I bought it immediately.
Oh, same. Yeah, just from the experience from Possessor. I love that film so much.
And I think it was only $14.99 like the day it dropped. So
Yeah.
it was an easy purchase for me.
Yeah, that was pretty well an insta buy as well. I don't know. I think Brandon Cronenberg has a very, very bright future.
I think he's gonna have one of these cult followings because he's not very mainstream at all in his
neither is his dad.
So he's gonna tell it the way he wants to tell it, and I think that's super cool. I could see him doing something for A24 one day, but
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, this and I think Possessor as well were both Neon releases.
Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah, they're to a certain degree on a kind of similar wavelength as A24. So I
Yeah.
could see him continuing on with that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, very similar to like Neon Demon, which was also on Neon.
Yeah.
So that movie's weird as shit too.
Yeah. Yeah, but that seems to be what we like.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I have like a specific horror type because I like a lot and various like dimensions of horror, but like I definitely zone in when it comes to weird ass ones like this.
Yeah, I like the weirder, artier ones for sure. It's I'm sure we've talked about this before. The phrase elevated horror is super played out and really doesn't mean anything. The way people that use it think they are using it, but yeah, the more art house horror shit, I definitely vibe with.
I mean, you can only tell so many ghost stories before it's all very like similar storytelling.
Yeah, that's why I know Prince Jackson got to see Beau is Afraid.
Can't wait.
Yeah, and how it is not the Ari Aster film that you think it's going to be, and that's okay. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That dude does a different movie every time.
Yeah. It's it'll be cool. It's even though it's
And then Evil Dead too. Same.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I can't wait for Evil Dead Rise. Yes.
It looks so good.
It looks very much a spiritual successor to the 2013 one, and I'm here for it. Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff on deck here in the very near future. So good times. Good times. Dim, any final thoughts on Infinity Pool?
No, I think if you're watching this and you didn't watch the movie, I don't know why you're watching this, but like
What's wrong with you?
definitely worth seeing if you haven't. And that's it really. I mean, it's a trip, and the way it's filmed and the soundscapes that you get from it and the different visual effects and all the neon lights and everything, it's very much a surreal trip, almost like you're taking the drug that they take in the movie.
Yeah, at times. I'll tell you, Mia Goth, she's having a good couple of years here. I can't wait to see what she gets up to because at this point she can kind of do it all.
Yeah, I really just I hope she does like a horror string of movies,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see.
But even then, just some cool dramatic performances would be fun for her. I could see her doing a fucking comedy at this point too.
Oh yeah, I mean, she nailed the comedy in this, even though it wasn't really supposed to be
Meant to-
comedy. I guess
yeah.
it kind of is. But
But yeah, that'd be cool to see. Well, dude, it's absolute pleasure having you on again. You are the most recurring guest again, still reigning champion.
hopefully people enjoy that.
But I know I do, man. I love talking movies with you, and
Yeah.
most specifically horror. We'll have something else to chat about again before too long. We will make that happen. But yeah, that's the beauty of horror. There will always be something fun new to talk about. But yeah, thanks again for coming on again. Everyone, this has been Murders with Mertens, a horror film podcast. Thank you for letting us tickle your ear holes. Please like, share, and subscribe if you are so inclined. I'll be back soon enough with another episode, but until next time, stay spoopy, everyone.